Hello everybody, Gary Massa here with Massa & Associates and Pacific Sotheby's International Realty. I'm back with my main man, Tommy Hinson from Investors 1031 Exchange. We're continuing our conversation about investments and how to kind of grow wealth right now. And some of our investors' main concerns that I'm hearing a lot of right now is that the market has been on a roll for the last 5 to 6 years. Some people think it may be approaching the top. Maybe we have a couple more years left, but a lot of these investors are starting to think about what's next and to protect their assets during the next correction in the market. Mm-hmm. So right now, what I wanted to talk with you a little bit about is that if somebody wanted to sell their single-family property, there's some other opportunities into that we were just talking about, commercial or multifamily, some larger type of assets. The question is, why commercial or why multifamily right now as opposed to reinvesting or buying a single family type property for investment?
Yeah, it's a great question, and and I don't think that residential is a bad investment at all, but with anything that's investing or for investors is to look for risk versus reward.
Right.
We call it seeking alpha in the business, but
okay.
The goal is to take as little risk as possible for the most reward.
That's
and
right.
When you find that middle ground, it's seeking alpha. And so, I tell everyone it's not bad to invest in residential, but it's all about diversifying.
That's
and so, if you're heavy into residential, it's probably time to sell some of those properties, 1031 exchange, and look at something that's more commercial.
Okay.
Commercial generally follows residential when there's a recession. We saw a little bit of that in this last giant recession.
Right.
But at the end of the day, they kind of balance each other out. And so I tell people all the time, look at everything. And don't just look in one particular market either. Look all over and really try to make your money work for you.
Okay. So what are you seeing investors right now that are 1031 exchanging out of their single family type investments from being landlords? What are they really buying right now, and maybe where are they buying right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. Obviously retail's taking a huge hit. Amazon, is changing the world slowly.
Right.
But you can still get good deals in retail. I wouldn't exactly invest in a Best Buy right now.
Right.
But pharmacies are still good. Grocery stores are still good. So we're seeing a lot of that. Multi-tenant industrial is one that most people don't really know about, which I love. Multi-tenant industrial are those concrete tilt-up wall, one-story business parks. That you can have anything from a dentist end to a pool cleaner. It doesn't matter what that space occupies. Very low maintenance, but very high yields. They're not sexy properties, but you're not investing to live there. You're investing to make money.
Right.
And so as far as markets go, Southern California is always going to be a good market, but we really look at
strong and stable.
It's stable. Sometimes it's got a lot of this that goes on in California, which can be very good.
Right.
But we look at everything, right? So we look at a multifamily, an apartment building in Pacific Beach. We'll have the same roof, the same sheetrock, the same credit-worthy tenant as the property that's in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
So what you're looking at is half the yield for the same exact risk.
Right.
And so that's what we try to look at and say, don't just be stuck in I got to invest west of the 5 in Southern California. Look at all markets. There's a lot of good deals out there, and don't be afraid to look at all of them.
Okay. So in terms of emerging markets or other markets that are generating some great returns right now, where are you seeing some of those opportunities at or people moving their money into right now?
Yeah, there's quite a few. We're really big on Atlanta right now.
Okay.
There's a lot going on there. The Southeast in general is pretty good. Columbus, Ohio is one of the hottest markets in the country.
Wow.
Reno, actually Nevada in general is really hot. So
really
Reno, you've got Apple, Tesla, Google. There's a bunch of companies moving out to the Reno area, so we're seeing a lot of development there. We're seeing
also Las Vegas, we were talking about before.
Yes, Las Vegas is, it's slowly turning from that Sin City place to an actual market that makes sense. The Raiders are going there. They've already got a hockey team. So, in a lot of investing, we call it NFL cities.
Okay.
So people say, well, I don't really want to invest unless it's an NFL city. Not meaning that they love football, meaning that if it's good enough for the NFL, it's good enough for my investment. And so that's really changing Vegas, and into some really hot deals that are out there.
Okay, awesome. So the things that I really heard you say here are diversification. If you're heavy in one asset, it's good to spread it out, evaluate other opportunities. And the best way to do that right now, or to understand all that right now, because everybody's situation is different, how do they take that next step? What would be the best way to understand what their options are?
It's really just setting a meeting with, someone like us, but to really sit down and look at every asset. I get calls all the time where people are, I'm going to sell this, it's time to sell it.
Yeah.
And I pencil it out for them and I show them, you're sitting on an asset that is making you 8%.
Right.
But more times than not, I see people that love their rental property. They don't ever want to sell it.
Had it for a long time.
They've had it forever. They're like, I'm never selling this. If I had $1 for every time someone said, I'm never selling this. But then we look at it and we call it you're asset rich and cash poor.
Right.
You're sitting on a $2 million asset and you're making 2% on that. It makes 0 cents. So those are the ones, it's time to trade out of those, move into some things that make more sense.
Right.
But then I get the opposite where people are, don't want to sell or they want to sell, and I look at it and tell them, no, that's one to hold on to. So it's really important to sit down with somebody and look at the bottom line on all the stuff that you're doing and see what makes sense to trade out of and what makes sense to hold on to.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, we're here as, for consultation. We're here as advisors to help you understand exactly what opportunities are available for you. And maybe your current situation is awesome and shouldn't be changed. But maybe we're entering into that time where some of those considerations should be made, and get all the information of what you need to take advantage of these different options for you. And everybody's situation is different.
Absolutely.
And it's all about your goals and what options are available. So again, if you have any more questions, please don't hesitate to call Tommy directly or myself. Tommy, what's the best way people can reach you?
You can reach me at the office at 858-539-1031.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks again, guys. If you have any other questions, feel free to message me below or call me directly as well. We're always here to help. We'll talk to you soon.